How do you stop men from retreating? You can shout orders, you can threaten punishment, you can appeal to duty, or you can stand on a tank in the middle of battle. November 21st, 1941. Sidi, Rezegh, British line collapsing. German counterattack overwhelming. Tank commanders pulling back. Infantry retreating. Not from cowardice, from common sense. The Germans were winning. Falling back was logical. Brigadier Jock Campbell grabbed a pistol, jumped on top of a moving tank, and started directing the battle from up there. Completely exposed, bullets hitting the tank around him. He didn't order men to stop retreating. He didn't threaten them. He just stood there, on top of a tank, where everyone could see him, the most visible target in the entire battle. Tank commanders saw him, thought, "Our commander is on top of a tank. If he's not retreating, we can't retreat either." Not because he ordered them to stay, because he showed them how. Leadership isn't about giving orders from safety, it's about being the example. Even when the example is standing on a tank, getting shot at. The line held, Victoria Cross, 1941. This is Jock Campbell, the leader who didn't give orders. He gave an example. From on top of a tank. Okay, before I start this story, I need you to imagine something. You're a tank commander, November 1941, North Africa. You're inside your tank, armor around you, relatively safe. Germans attacking, heavy fire. Your commander radios, "Hold position." You think, easy for you to say. You're in a command post somewhere safe. Then you look out, and your brigadier, your commanding officer, is standing on top of a tank, not inside. On top, waving a pistol, directing fire. Bullets hitting the metal around him. What do? You can't retreat because if he's standing up there, you can't hide in here. That's leadership, not orders. Example, and that's exactly what Brigadier Jock Campbell did. John Jock Campbell was born July 10, 1894 in Thurso, Scotland. Jock is the Scottish nickname for John, very common in Scotland. Working class family, normal childhood. But Jock wanted to be a soldier. 1914, World War I started. Jock was 20 years old, joined the Royal Horse Artillery, officer training, World War I, 1914 to 1918. Jock fought, artillery officer, Western Front. 4 years of hell, survived, many didn't. Jock did, came out with experience and scars you couldn't see. 1918, war ended. Jock stayed in the army, between the wars, 1919 to 1939. Peacetime military, training, exercises, routine. Jock rose through the ranks. Good officer, reliable. By 1939, he was a major, artillery specialist. Then World War II started. 1940 to 1941, North Africa. British versus Italians initially. Then Germany arrived. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. The Desert Fox, brilliant commander, aggressive, unpredictable. For 18 months, Rommel won almost every battle. British couldn't stop him. Better tactics? Rommel countered. More tanks? Rommel outmaneuvered. Different strategies? Rommel adapted. He kept winning. By November 1941, Jock Campbell was a brigadier, commander of the 7th Support Group, Royal Horse Artillery, artillery and some tanks, mixed force, part of Operation Crusader, British offensive. Goal, push Rommel back, relieve Tobruk, win North Africa. November 18, 1941, Operation Crusader began. Massive British attack, over 700 tanks, initial success. British pushed forward. But Rommel, he didn't retreat quietly. He counterattacked, hard. November 21st, Sidi Rezegh airfield area, strategic location. British needed to hold it. German panzers counterattacked. Heavy, aggressive. Rommel's best, Jock Campbell's 7th Support Group was there. Artillery and tanks defending. German attack hit them hard. Panzers, infantry, coordinated assault. British lines started to break. Tank commanders made the calculation. We're outnumbered, outgunned. Falling back makes sense. Started retreating. Not panic, tactical withdrawal. But retreat is retreat, and once it starts, it spreads. Jock Campbell saw it, his line collapsing, men pulling back. He was in a command vehicle, radio, maps, safe. Relatively, he could have stayed there. Radioed orders. Hold position. That's an order. Would it have worked? Maybe, maybe not. Orders from a safe position don't inspire. Jock made a different choice. He grabbed his pistol, jumped out of the command vehicle, ran to a nearby tank, British Crusader or Matilda, and climbed on top of it. Now pause. Tanks have hatches. You're supposed to be inside. That's where the armor is. Jock stood on top, completely exposed. The tank was moving, engaging targets. Jock stood on top, waving his pistol, pointing at German positions. That tank, shoot it! Those infantry, charge them! Directing the battle from on top of a moving tank, in the middle of a firefight. Bullets hitting the tank around him. He should have died in the first 30 seconds. But here's what happened. Tank commanders looked out, saw their brigadier standing on a tank, under fire, not retreating. One tank commander thought, is he insane? Then thought, wait, if he's up there, I can't retreat from in here. Another commander, our brigadier is on top of a tank. We're inside tanks. If he's not scared, what are we scared of? The retreat stopped, not because Jock ordered it, because they saw him. See, orders are just words, especially when they come from safety. Hold position from a bunker. That's easy to say, but standing on a tank, that's not an order. That's an example. And men follow examples, especially when the example is their commander, standing where they can all see him. In the most dangerous place on the battlefield, Jock stayed on that tank, directing fire, pointing targets, waving his pistol like he was conducting an orchestra of tanks and guns. German fire intensified, bullets everywhere, hitting the tank, missing Jock by inches. He didn't duck, didn't hide, kept directing. British tanks stopped retreating, started fighting back. Infantry rallied, because if the brigadier could stand up there, they could fight from here. The German counterattack stalled, then broke. Panzers pulled back. British held the line. Jock Campbell climbed down from the tank, calm, like he'd just been for a walk. Right, what's next? His staff. Sir, you were on top of a tank. Jock, yes? And? Staff, you could have been killed. Jock, could have, wasn't. Now what's next? That's the kind of man he was. Word spread fast. Campbell stood on a tank, under fire, held the line. Officers reported it. Men talked about it. November 1941. Jock Campbell recommended for Victoria Cross. Citation: displayed conspicuous bravery and leadership. Personally directed battle from exposed position on tank. Complete disregard for personal safety. Actions inspired men to hold position against superior enemy force. Victoria Cross awarded. December 1941. King George VI presented it. Jock accepted, humble. Didn't think he'd done anything special. Just did what needed doing. But everyone else knew, standing on a tank under fire. That's not just doing what needed doing. That's leadership at its most insane and most effective. Let's talk about why this worked. Because it's not just a cool story. It's a lesson in leadership. Option 1. Shout orders from safety. Hold position. That's an order. Does it work? Sometimes. But men know you're safe. They're not. Orders from safety feel hollow. Option 2. Threaten punishment. Retreat and you'll be court-martialed. Does it work? Maybe. But men fight from fear, not inspiration. Fear-based leadership breaks eventually. Option 3. Appeal to duty. For king and country, hold the line. Does it work? Sometimes. But duty is abstract. The bullets are real. Option 4. Be the example. Stand where they can see you, in more danger than they are, not ordering, showing. That's what Jock did. He didn't order them to stop retreating. He showed them it was possible, by being more exposed than any of them. When you're inside a tank, and your commander is on top of one. You can't retreat, because if he's brave enough to stand there, you're not brave enough to hide. Pride. That's what Jock triggered. Not fear, not duty. Pride. My commander is standing on a tank. I can't be less brave than him. And that's the most effective leadership there is, not ordering courage, demonstrating it. Jock Campbell kept fighting. November, December, January. Operation Crusader succeeded. Tobruk relieved. Rommel pushed back. Jock's leadership was part of why February 1942. Egypt. Jock was traveling. Staff car, desert road. Routine movement, not combat. The car hit something, pothole maybe, rough terrain, overturned. Jock Campbell, age 48, broken neck, killed instantly. The man who survived standing on tanks under fire, died in a car accident, on a road, not in battle. Life's cruelest irony. The desert rats mourned. British Army mourned. Churchill heard and was reportedly saddened. Rommel heard, enemy commander, but reportedly said, a brave opponent has fallen. Even Rommel respected Jock Campbell, because what Jock did transcended sides. Courage is courage, leadership is leadership. Even enemies can recognize it. Jock Campbell died February 26, 1942, 4 months after winning the Victoria Cross. He didn't live to see the war's end, didn't live to see Rommel defeated finally, didn't live to see victory, but he lived long enough to show what leadership looks like. Not orders from the rear, not safety while others fight, being the most exposed person on the battlefield, so others can't retreat. Today, Jock Campbell isn't as famous as some, not like Rommel, not like Montgomery, but the men who served with him, they remembered. Campbell stood on a tank, under fire, and we couldn't retreat because he didn't. That's leadership. That's legacy. So what does Jock Campbell's story teach us? A few things. First, leadership is example, not orders. You can tell people what to do, but if you're safe while they're in danger, your words don't carry weight. Show them. Be in more danger, take more risk, then they'll follow. Not because you ordered, because you led. Second, courage is contagious. Jock standing on that tank didn't make the bullets less dangerous, didn't change the tactical situation, but it changed morale. Men saw him, thought, if he can stand there, I can fight here. Courage spreads. When one person shows it, others find it. Third, the most effective leadership is often the most dangerous. Jock could have commanded from safety. Radios work, maps work, orders work, but being there works better. Being visible, being exposed, being the example. That's what stops retreats. That's what turns battles. Fourth, sometimes the bravest thing is looking foolish. Standing on a tank, that's insane. Everyone knew it. Jock did it anyway, because results matter more than looking smart. And saving the line was worth looking crazy. Last few days we've talked about different kinds of heroism. David Lord, burning plane, died saving paratroopers. Lionel Queriple, pistol at crossroads, died saving his company. James Stokes, bagpipes in no man's land, lived inspiring his regiment. Jock Campbell, standing on a tank, lived leading his men. Different methods, different outcomes, but same principle. Put yourself at risk. Others will follow. David flew a burning plane. Crew stayed with him. Lionel stood at a crossroads. Men escaped because he didn't. James played bagpipes under fire. Men charged because he did. Jock stood on a tank. Men held because he wouldn't retreat. Leadership. Different forms. Same core. Be the example, not the order. And yeah, the car accident, I know, it's almost funny. In a dark way. Stand on tanks under fire, survive. Ride in a car on a road, die. But here's the thing. The car accident doesn't define him. The tank does. November 21st, 1941. Sidi Rezegh, standing on a moving tank, directing fire, stopping a retreat, holding the line against Rommel. That's what we remember. Not the car, the tank, Jock Campbell was 47 years old when he stood on that tank. That's not young. Most 47-year-olds are thinking about retirement. Jock was thinking about stopping Rommel. Age didn't matter. Safety didn't matter. Looking smart didn't matter. The line mattered. And sometimes, the only way to hold a line is to stand where everyone can see you, even if that's on top of a tank, even if that's insane, because leadership isn't about being safe. It's about being the example. And sometimes the example is standing on a tank, under fire, waving a pistol, and refusing to retreat. If this story inspired you, hit that like button. Subscribe. Every day we rescue forgotten heroes from history. Drop a comment. What's the craziest leadership example you've ever seen? Jock Campbell level or close? Thanks for watching. Thanks for remembering Jock Campbell. And thanks for remembering that leadership isn't about orders. It's about examples, even insane ones, especially insane ones. Jock Campbell, Victoria Cross, 1941, the Brigadier who stood on a tank, because that's what leaders do. They stand where others can see them, even when that's the most dangerous place to be. Some leaders give orders. Some leaders give examples. Jock Campbell gave an example from on top of a tank and held the line against Rommel. That's leadership.